As of census 2011, we have around 103 million older adults aged 60 years and above, which constitutes about 8.6% of the total population in India. By 2050, the total older population aged 60 and above in India will be at least 319 million, which will be 19% of the total population. The numbers are huge and they are going to be more and more huge in future.
There are studies which show that life satisfaction should be assessed in terms of various domains of satisfaction, such as financial, food, housing, self or independence, and freedom of individuals. In this regard, as we know, there's studies which show that in low income countries, the financial satisfaction strongly predicts individuals' life satisfaction, whereas in high income countries, it is housing satisfaction which strongly predicts life satisfaction of individuals. And there is also literature that suggests that GDP of countries have better prediction of life satisfaction, and there is a high correlation between income, countries' income, and like individuals' life satisfaction. In our study, we found that there are factors which are more strongly predicting life satisfaction, which are living arrangement, facing discrimination, elder ill treatment or elder abuse. So from these factors, which what we understand is that the factors which are contributing differences in life satisfaction are mainly related to the socio-cultural context. And when we consider the age differences, we see that there's higher increasing levels of life satisfaction in the oldest old, or higher life satisfaction by reported by oldest old population. What we see is that this specific sociocultural context of India, it has been there is studies that suggest that the parental support and social support are the main factors which contribute to a life satisfaction of individuals.
When you look at the gender difference in life satisfaction, I mean, we had some very interesting findings in our study. Like first, we looked at the raw life satisfaction scores. You see, like we saw that older women actually had lower life satisfaction scores than older men. And again, when we moved to our regression results, where we adjusted for the effect of other covariates, the socio-demographic, health characteristics, and the household covariates, the relationship actually reversed. Here we found that older women actually scored higher or had higher life satisfaction scores when compared to older Indian men. And like when we compare this with actually findings that are already there out there, we see that there have been a multitude of findings. Like some studies have said that older men actually have higher life satisfaction scores. Some studies have said the opposite, and some did not find any association in terms of gender. When we took a deep dive into like what could be the contributing factors behind these gender differences, so the a possible mechanism that we uncovered is that the social support structure of older women in India is vastly different when we compare it to that of older men. I mean, there's a gender division of labor, and which in turn, gives rise to a gender division of social structure. Like, women in India, you would be like surprised to see that mostly they contribute to unpaid and invisible work. Like the majority of them act as housewives, and that contributes immensely to the economy. But unfortunately, that's unpaid, and the work is invisible. And owing to this work, they are they are able to maintain family ties throughout the ages, and that reaps rewards for them when they get old. Unfortunately for older men, the gender division of labor is such that they are seen as the breadwinners or the money earners in the family, and they don't get the time to, or the personal time to invest into creating family ties. And when they get old, they come at a disadvantage. And when we correlate this this hypothesis with the other results from a study, we see that the life satisfaction among older women rationally should be higher in India, and I mean that's what we get.
One direction for future research in this area is to examine the extent to which well-being among older Indians is affected by the personal, social, psychological resources, but also liabilities of significant others. So, for instance, does having a highly educated spouse matter for the life satisfaction of older Indians? Does it matter whether your spouse is optimistic? Does that affect happiness among older Indians? Does it matter whether you have a friend who is highly conscientious, or having friends who are emotionally stable as opposed to neurotic? Does that impact the outcomes of well-being in later life? These questions have been looked at within the US context and also in Europe. But there's a massive opening to do social network analysis within the Indian context. We know, for instance, happiness spreads. So it would be great to be able to examine, are there clusters of happy and unhappy older adults in India? Research shows that having a happy friend within a mile of where we live can affect, happiness. It can increase happiness up to 25%. Now, of course, an interesting caveat to that is, we don't know how that relationship or association is modified, based on whether we live countryside, whether we are in urban areas, whether houses are actually, within a mile of each other. So there are a lot of things that, we could still examine using social network analysis. Another thing to look at, I think, is in addition to looking at significant others, there's something to be said about looking at the importance of weaker ties, of dormant ties, acquaintances, distant relatives, a colleague or a neighbor, a co-worker that you haven't really taken the time to talk with, within the last year. I mean, increasing interactions with people outside of your immediate social circle. There's enormous research out there, again, within the US and the European context, that shows that there are social, emotional, and cognitive health benefits of weaker ties. So again, these are some of the things that there is an opportunity, there's gold in this area to be looked for.
India needs to work more extensively on the future-proof policies, which are quite needed in the area of aging and gerontology. As of now, we are having some policies like national old age pension schemes, which came into picture in 1999, which talks about giving pension to the older adults aged 60 and above, and the pension amount ranges from around 500 Indian national rupees to 2,500 Indian national rupees. But again, government has to work more extensively when it comes to policies for older adults. More extensive implementation is needed in this area. Furthermore, I believe that the focus should be on the vulnerable older adults, especially those who belong to below poverty line, and also the focus should be on the older adults who live alone. So I believe these are the areas like one should have more research.